Howdy folks, and welcome back to WW3. Today we have a news video on Con World War III for ya, and boy is this some interesting stuff. First, let's talk about Mercenaries. These are a new class of infantry. They will be spawnable from mercenary camps in provinces, will not be able to conquer, will only cost manpower and cash, and are quick to mobilize. There are 3 tiers of these guns for hire, allowing players to make a decision based on their current financial situation. Apparently they will be quite expensive, however, in the late game, cash and manpower typically become quite abundant. Yeah, super freaking exciting. But there's a catch. It's an elite seasonal unit. Yeah, and from the Discord reactions, the community doesn't seem too pleased about that. I think most of the elite units are at least somewhat balanced, but having unique game mechanics locked behind a paywall like with deployable gear just doesn't seem right. I'll throw up some speculative stats for these 3 units, keeping in mind that Larry said this is a new elite concept, meaning anything talking about these new units is subject to change. Firstly, I believe the expendable mercenaries will be weaker than National Guard, but not useless. They are basically described as trigger-happy grunts, probably recruited from prisons and whatnot. Next is the mid-tier mercenary unit. They will probably perform a bit less optimally than motorized infantry due to low morale despite their battle experience. I could see this unit being the most cost-effective out of the 3. And lastly, the deadly, well-trained, and well-equipped top-tier mercenaries. While I doubt they will be as good as the full-on special forces, I expect them to have more attack than motorized infantry. I think it would be OP if they had stealth, but perhaps having 0 radar signature could make sense. Or an interesting concept would be if they had stealth, but only in friendly territory. My guess is that all mercenaries will focus on attack and less on defense, being just a little weaker than their standard counterparts, the National Guard, motorized infantry, and special forces. And I do expect they will have high levels of upkeep to hopefully prevent the endless spamming of them. They also mentioned that there likely will be more mercs coming in the future. Dorado. If there is any possible way for you to take constructive criticism, I would beg of you to have the tier 1 and 2 mercenaries as tech tree units, while only having one variant as an elite unit. Even if the best one is reserved for people who pay, at the very least, giving everyone access to some form of merc would be mandatory in my opinion. Perhaps we will get tech tree mercenaries in a future update? Let me know what you think about this unit and the implications it has for the game. And let me know if I'm being overly negative towards Dorado. But yeah, I can see myself using these units all the frickin' time. And it's sad to think that so many people won't be able to use such a strategically powerful ground unit. Dorado did say the next seasonal unit was going to be a game changer, and they weren't joking. Damn. Finishing up the mercenary talk, I wanted to say that it would be epic if countries could trade mercenaries with their allies, like we have seen in many conflicts, both historic and modern. I just think it would be a great way for players that are doing really well to help their struggling friends. Moving on, it's time to talk about artillery. When I talk to people about the recent changes, I hear a mixture of responses, but none of them are positive. Personally, I think it's meh, though admittedly I am a little sad they nerfed my favorite form of artillery, the SPG. Here is a stat chart of the artillery from one of my older videos. As we can see, towed artillery is a lot weaker, and takes supplies and components instead of supplies and ships, which is fine I suppose. Self-propelled guns, aka SPGs, aka mobile artillery, is a lot weaker against soft targets. Has a little more HP, and instead of supplies and components, costs even more components and now electronics. This change is a big oof, as the kids say. Rocket artillery looks unchanged for the most part, suggesting that Dorado sees it as perfectly balanced. Weird that everything except for rocket artillery got nerfed. Honestly, at this point, you would have to be a hipster to choose anything but rocket artillery. One major complaint I heard from people was that this update affected all games currently in progress. This messed up quite a few people who planned on needing certain resources to produce a certain type of artillery, and then it suddenly changed without warning. Dorado did state later that it was unintended to push this update to live games. Oopsie. But yeah, in the end, not sure why Dorado changed artillery, but I personally am not mad with the changes. When it comes to Mercenaries, I am super excited for them, and you can be sure I will be giving you details on them once I learn anything new. I just hope that we get some non-premium content at some point here, as most massively multiplayer games have at least one major content update per year. Dorado doesn't seem to have any shortage of cash to hire staff, as they have sponsored some of the biggest names on YouTube, and I seem to see their ads absolutely everywhere. But that's enough ripping on Dorado for now. At the end of the day, I do genuinely enjoy playing Con on a regular basis, and I'm happy to be making tutorials, reviews, and news videos for the game. Oh, and I recently got over 1K subs, so thanks for that, folks. I know I am still a small content creator, but I will continue to strive to create high quality and honest content. Thanks again. See ya. Oh, and P.S. My friend Nick has started making content again, so if you happen to unsubscribe from him, be sure to check out his channel again.